Because looking at those full year numbers, sales down 16.4%, that's something very similar to what we've seen with other luxury players given the COVID crisis and the impact on tourism. But what really investors are nervous about is looking at the trend at Gucci. As you said, that's the all-important story when looking at Kering. It makes about 2/3 of revenue and almost 80% of the operating profit for that company. So they're looking very much at the trend of Gucci, a brand that had an amazing ride, a very incredible ride for the past 5 years after the new designer Alessandro Michele was brought on board, and looking at that trend, they've been talking, the management, about a soft landing and a normalization of sales at Gucci they were expecting. But the COVID crisis arrived and in a way accelerated things there. So looking at Q3, while they saw recovery carrying in the luxury sector, coming back in particular from China and North America, the trend at Gucci has investors worried. They did worse than expected in the third quarter already, where sales were down 9%, and we see that in the fourth quarter, the Gucci sales were down 10.3% on a comparable basis. So sort of acceleration of that trend. Now we know that Kering has been working on diversifying its portfolio, beefing up some of their brands. They have been successful in doing that with Saint Laurent and Bottega Veneta in particular, but there are much smaller brands within the portfolio. Bottega Veneta is the only one that had sales positive for the full year, and they were up 15.7% in the fourth quarter, so a good positive story there. But again, they are much smaller than Kering. Therefore, we see the impact on the shares this morning with the results from Gucci being worse than expected, and the shares are down more than 7.5% in Paris. Now, looking ahead, the management said they have several events coming ahead for Gucci. It's the 100th anniversary of the brand this year. They had announced in October already a new chapter for Gucci, sort of a changing of the brand, making it slightly less flamboyant and maybe more accessible to a slightly older demographic. Now the question is, can they do that while still appealing to the older customers, while bringing on some new customers? That's really the question for them going ahead. But as we see for the moment, a slight concern from investors on the heavy reliance of Kering on Gucci and this slowing trend that we see in that particular brand.